I want to speak to you today about the day that the stones cried out. Oh, I tell you, what a thrilling experience it was for me when I went into Albania to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ in a place that had never heard a public proclamation of who Jesus is and what He could do. You see, Albania had been an atheist nation under the communist rule. Before that, there was Christians in Albania, but then the Muslims came through and took it over and made it a Muslim nation. Then the communists came in, they made it an atheist nation. And so when freedom came to the people, everyone was asking the question, what's the truth? What is real? And I had the wonderful privilege of going and sharing the good news of Jesus Christ with the people in that nation. I went to one city where 99%, more than 99% of the people were not Christians. And I preached there. But before I preached in that city in the town square, my interpreter asked me, he said, "Sammy, would you go to my village? It's near here, but you can't get to it by car or anything like that. We'll have to hike up the mountains to it." I said, "Boy, that would be fun. Let's go to it." He said, "There are no Christians in my village." I said, "Let's go." So we went there, and I was going to share Jesus with the people in his village. And we had his uncle who was actually the guide who was guiding us up the trail. And as we were going up, he stopped all of a sudden. And when he stopped, he looked and he pointed over to a group of stones that were just lying in the rubble there. And I said, "What's that?" He said, "That's where a church used to be. But when the Muslims came in and took over, they destroyed the church. But every time I walk by these stones, something happens on the inside of me. It's like God is trying to speak to me." And oh, I tell you what, the stones were crying out to him who Jesus Christ really is. Oh, I tell you something. The stones will cry out if we don't. That's what Jesus said. Oh, there on the Mount of Olives when he was going into the city and everyone began to shout about the king who was coming into the city. Jesus said, if they don't cry out, the stones will cry out. Because even the stones, the whole earth knows who Jesus is. He is the creator of this universe. And oh, I tell you what, it's much better if it's not stones who are crying out, but if it's you and me who are crying out to a lost and dying world, that Jesus is truly the King who is coming. So we need to be crying out to the world about who Jesus is. Would you do that?